I was thinking about this, Chris Cody, in the shower this morning, and you
About
couldn't
me?
have sort of, yes, about you. Your contention last week that the FUPA comes out of nowhere when indeed it's the exact opposite. The FUPA takes years to build. It is not, nobody has a six pack and then the next day has a FUPA. It takes a long time to go.
But you never say about somebody like, oh, that's a baby fupa. It's like either a fupa or they just look normal.
So it's just, so there
like
are no.
That thing's gonna be a fupa in a year or so, but no, it's just that's a fupa.
Guillermo, put it on the poll, please, at Batard show. Is there such a thing as a baby fupa? Because I think he may have checkmated me there. If you missed the local hour, you know that the Codys are checkmating me at every turn. Greg Cody is still holding out. I don't know if he's coming in tomorrow. Check out the local hour because he talks about it some, and he talks about his relationship with Armando Salguero. Very disappointing. Were you guys disappointed that he took the high road there, the way that he took the high road there? I just don't believe those were honest sentiments from Greg Cody. He takes out Aubrey Huff in a column, but then doesn't have anything to say about a guy who sits a couple of desks away from him growing up at the Miami Herald.
Yeah, it would have been much more satisfying if he came on and just started talking absolute shit about some guy that I don't even know who it is, but that would have been really satisfying.
He's not even getting paid. He's not going to burn his only source of income by burning bridges and going after coworkers, I wouldn't think. I mean, how about this, Dan? Why don't you offer to pay him more if he just comes on and rips all of his enemies each week?
Billy, I don't think he has a greater one than Armando Salguero, even though he wouldn't.
Really?
Even though he wouldn't mention that. And what I was laughing about is, you tell me, when Maria Taylor was in the middle of her kerfuffle at ESPN, Amin and Jamel came on here and people were dying for any little bit of industry gossip. He always wants clicks for his podcast at every turn. A place to get them is to gossip about a colleague on the front lines in sports of this political and race war that is in the middle of everything that's happening in America and around the country. He no commented, clicks. He could have been a place where people would have gotten interesting industry gossip from him exclusively on his podcast, and he sat it out after writing an Aubrey Huff column because he wanted the problems that come with an Aubrey Huff column, but he didn't want the problems that come with going after Armando Salguero, a colleague.
The rare display of empathy for Aubrey Huff, not something you see. So he went out on a limb with his Herald article, but when it came to Armando and his on-air comments, nowhere to be found.
There are a lot of things happening in the world that are troubling right now. We will try to take you away from some of them. We talked about Afghanistan, some in the local hour. We haven't even talked about Haiti, one of the places in the world that could least afford that kind of earthquake devastation. So we will try to slalom course around all of the horror and tragedy that is every time you turn on your television. I told you recently that I was watching news for 15 seconds, and it was new variant, wildfires, opioid crisis, and it was 15 seconds. It wasn't even the news. It was a commercial for the news. Like that's, you turn on your television and it's biblical apocalypse. What the video coming out of Afghanistan right now is an unspeakable horror. And I will remind you again, if you're somebody who cares about sports, how the life of Pat Tillman was wasted on a cause that spans across governments, across politics, 20 years of American failure. You see what we tried to build in Afghanistan with our weakened strength and 20 years worth of money, and it collapsed in days, everything we were trying to build. And that is what the NFL gives you during the Super Bowl when it is putting on a commercial that is remembering Pat Tillman, a life wasted, no less noble on his cause. But I remind you again of that funeral in the morning where his grieving brother was drinking a beer and telling you, spitting at you through acid, this is no greater thing here, where he's living beyond us, smiling because he did something heroic. This was a final death that was covered up by our government in just a horrific symbolic mess. And the idea that the NFL still trots that out as something to throw in your commercials during the Super Bowl speaks to just how what a waste his nobility was on behalf of that fight. And I'm trying to slalom course through this while unveiling the sueys. What is our greatest suey category? Because you just told me during the break we've got best mistake. You're going to come out of the box on our suey week with what is traditionally our best category?
It's not usually ever our best category, Dan. It's usually something that we open with to build you up. Now, mistake has, I think, one time been best picture. But historically, uncomfortable moment gets there. Musical performance is always a heavy hitter. We're coming out of the box with one of the favorites, Worst Mistake. But before we do any of that, Dan, we also have the traditional Greg Cody musical open.
We do have the musical open. Is he the voice for what it is that we're doing this year again?
Yes, sir. While he's boycotting.
One of the things that is great about the Sueys is that it allows us to tap into a year of nostalgia with the listeners who listen most diehard and are going to be transported here. And what a weird year, right? Because there's going to be all sorts of stuff from the pandemic when we're in this when we were doing the show from 7 different locations and the show had zero chemistry. This was one of the saddest periods. Half of this is at ESPN. The other half is not at ESPN.
That's what the storyline from this year is. And the fact that we have way more places that listeners and viewers can find us now. So there's stuff from everywhere, Le Batard and Friends, not just the Le Batard show. But I think last year's Sueys were where you would have the audio, which was just me holding up a headset to my computer speaker.
This is August 2020 and on. So still in the pandemic, but not the
beginning, not the worst of the pandemic.
Right. I believe we returned to the studio late July of last year. So this is all pretty much it.
Is there anything in here from the very worst shows in our history, which were the first few shows?
There is something in particular from the worst show we've ever had in this year's Suey. Not to give it away.
Okay.
But it's fairly recent.
Let's go ahead and do it. This is a week-long celebration. How many categories are there?
Dan, I'm not going to get to a category until you play the traditional musical open.
Okay, give him his introduction, even though he's holding out.
And now it's time for the Sueys. The Sueys. Enough to make you go ooey. It's a waltz through the program's past year, full of merriment and good cheer. With the categories we hope you'll be smitten. They're fun like clicking columns Greg Cody's written, 'cause it's the Sueys. Sueys. Enough to make you go ooey.
I can understand his holdout now. Give him all the money in the world. He's so valuable to our show because he's so good at entertainment. Worst Mistake Sueys. The voice for our Sueys is Greg Cody. Why? We didn't want to ask Hank to do it. We didn't want to do the work required to frame this better than Greg Cody would.
Well, before there was Greg Cody's holdout, there was Poppy's holdout, Dan.
It's unbelievable. Go ahead. Let's go to Worst Mistake.
And now the Suey nominees for Worst Mistake Made on the Show. Stugotz thinks Alfonso Ribeiro is Larry Fitzgerald.
I think Larry Fitzgerald's on the green right there. Hold on, Dan. I'll be back.
That's Alfonso Ribeiro. How do you think that Larry Fitzgerald
and
is
the son.
Oh, the son.
To be fair,
All right, whatever.
Alfonso Ribeiro has a great ass.
Chris Cody can't find the name David Fizdale.
Shane Battier's gone and Dwayne Wade goes. I'm not sure what's going on with the culture.
Sinking ship.
They realized Spo's never leaving. I feel like what's his name had a
Good
Exactly.
start.
Keep going. Just keep fight through it.
No, let's just end the segment right
Fizdale.
there.
Mike Ryan's chubby checker mistake.
Jess, you can't talk about double-digit national titles when every single call of you winning the national title sounds like this. Oh, there's Chubby Checker running down the sideline. If the audio,
That's not true.
Yeah, and there's a World War II veteran pitching into another white guy, and he avoids another white guy. Oh my God, Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish have done it again for the 8th time, only playing white people.
Without Notre Dame football, without Newt Rockne, we would not even have the modern era of college football.
Newt is the problem. chubby checker?
I'm sorry.
He's black.
He's black, and I was like, what's a white named Chubby Checker? I picked a black. I'm sorry, man. I'm improv here. It's a pretty cool riff.
Running down the side.
He spells it differently. All right. His name is Chubby. Maybe you didn't hear me correctly. His name is Chubby Checkers. There's an S at the end.
I feel like that should be the largest of fines.
Yeah, Chubby. Yeah, it's Chubby Checker. It sounds like a college football name.
Greg Cody reacts to one of his terrible golf shots in Lake Tahoe.
I'm gonna get some golf ASMR.
Oh, fuck me.
Stugotz reads the internet wrong and thinks Todd Gurley is going to the Ravens.
During your enlightened conversation, I got a text from Stugotz that said Todd Gurley Ravens, to which we all had to search for what he meant because there's no report saying that Todd Gurley signed with the Ravens. He was just texting me about a visit Todd Gurley is presently having with the Baltimore Ravens.
According to Adam Schefter, I think it's a 1-year deal now, Mike. So he gets a chance to prove himself again. Right? It's a big deal, Mike. Todd Gurley to the Ravens.
Prove it. I love a 1 year.
A 1 year prove it deal.
Update: even though Stugotz just cited an Adam Schefter tweet, there is no such tweet. We are still scrambling to confirm what Stugotz meant by Todd Gurley Ravens.
$5 for reading
it's out there, Mike.
$5 for reading the internet wrong.
It's just so he says it was Adam Schefter. So I look at Adam Schefter's Twitter account, couldn't find anything. And so Jess went and tracked down the tweet. Here are the red flags on this account. 1, the handle Spots Centra, like the Canadian Sports Center.
But not sports.
Spots Centra.
But you realize you can read that very, very quickly and think it's.
Mistake number 1. Mistake number 2. There was no check mark. It was that thing that people do to try and fool people of the white circle that kind of looks like the check mark, but is not. Sign number 3, the avatar. It's the SportsCenter logo, but in fairly sizable print above it is the word not. Not a SportsCenter. There are 3 signs. Also, Tony pointed out a 4th, which is that the picture used of Todd Gurley is him in a Rams uniform when he was just in a Falcons uniform. All the red flags, and yet Stugotz is still going. Todd Gurley, Ravens buddy.
Shefty.
Carl Douglas turns Deshaun Watson into a mustard.
Deshaun Watson.
George St. Pierre struggles with Zoom.
You guys see me, it's okay, but I don't.
Help with the Zoom, or is it just you want to go ahead and do it without seeing us, or would you like some help?
I'm on Zoom right now, actually.
What do you see? What do you see?
Now I see you because I think your camera was not on. Your camera was off. Now I see you.
George, I love this. Is going to be the podcast. Swipe right on the phone, and you'll see different views.
There's like a gallery mode you can switch to.
Yeah.
George, you're only 30.
Yeah, there we go.
You're 39 years old.
George, look at that.
George, you're too young for this.
I'm very bad with technology. I'm sorry, guys.
Greg Cody struggles with Zoom.
Cody, how did this article do? Did you get a lot of your beloved clicks? Were you slathering your nipples in clicks?
Well, you're muted, Greg. You're still muted, Greg.
Yeah, Greg. Greg, she said that you had bubble wrap and they offered for you not to have to walk out with it, but you're like, no, I've got a party bone in my body. Oh, he's muted.
You're muted again.
It's unbelievable.
Pat Riley calls Amin Al-Hassan amino acid during freedom.
Amino Hassan.
Okay, amino acid. Good luck to you guys. Okay?
See you later, Pat.
Stugotz introduces Marty Fish as Marty Smith on Stupidity.
All right, my friend Marty Smith is with us here on Stupidity. I wanted to bring
start over. My last name is not Smith.
Oh my God! I just what did I? Stupidity. Keep it in. Marty Fish, my friend Marty Marty Party.
Billy Gill tries to say mall walkers.
By the way, mall walkers. What happened there?
Walmart.
That's a real.
Going to Walmart.
You were saying Walmart. Mall walkers is a real thing.
Stugotz thinks Texans head coach David Culley is white on Stupidity.
What the the Texans doing? They lose Hopkins, Watson, and then in an attempt to try to impress Deshaun Watson and keep him, they hire a 65-year-old white head coach who's never coached before the NFL. Who is running that organization?
Stugotz clearly isn't listening to Dan.
Listen, it could be Julius Randle's building. How about that?
The Mecca.
Or it's Julius. The Mecca.
Steve Martin was a prop comic.
You said that?
I said it 2 seconds earlier than you.
Stugotz doesn't understand what double up means.
Ravens could double up the Colts, and they are good against every team except the Steelers. I mean,
That's a 14-point win there for the Ravens.
yeah. Double up, 2 touchdowns.
I think double up is a score. Like if the Colts have 10 and you double them up, you score 20. I don't think double
That's
up.
how you do it. I do it differently.
Okay, but I don't think that double them up. Like you explained it to me as
You
if I
have
was
your
supposed
way, I
to.
have my way.
I understand, but that's not technically doubling up. Like I think you used the phrase wrong or something happened.
Double up plus 4.
Yes,
Exactly.
Okay, that's what he meant. Of course.
2 touchdowns.
You never cease to amaze me.
He's amazing. He really is. He's breathtaking in his stupidity.
Chris Cody screws up the classic movie line from A Few Good Men.
What about A Few Good Men, Cody? Do you know what that is?
Yes.
Do you know who directed that?
Oh, no. I just, isn't that the word he's like, you can't handle the truth.
Yeah, that's a line. You can't handle that.
Yeah. I thought it was I couldn't, and I was like, it's you can't. Yeah.
Dan Levitard doesn't know the rules in women's college basketball.
Whenever you see UConn playing in the NCAA tournament, they've made 12 consecutive Final Fours going for their 13th. And they're being pushed. And I saw the score, and Baylor was pushing them. They were up in the third quarter. And so I switched over.
Second half.
No, third quarter. No, they play 4 quarters, yes. Listen, I watch women's college basketball, Dan, okay? They play 4 quarters.
They changed the rules.
When did they do that? I'm
Yes.
sorry. I'm sorry,
That's a
Stugotz,
fine.
to have questioned. What? For getting it wrong? I just assumed that it was
correcting
2
him.
halves.
It's a major fine,
The
yeah.
pomposity of it.
Mike Ryan's Sex and the City mistake.
They would try to bring in some minority characters, and you could. Yeah, they tried.
Louis Aguirre was one of
Louis
them.
Aguirre.
They tried to dabble in Latin flavor, and they went and got.
Maurice Chestnut was one, I think.
Morris.
Morris Chestnut, I'm sorry. God, what a beefcake in that show. Miranda, why didn't you stay with him? I mean, we're going to go with Steve on this one? Seriously?
5 minutes later.
Oh, no. I f***ed up. Uh-oh.
What happened?
I have to clear out. I have to issue her an apology.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh, no. Is it a Sex and the City apology?
I would like to formally apologize to Blair Underwood for calling him Morris Chestnut.
Oh, no.
Look,
LA Law, man. Come on, yo.
I feel like they were in a movie together, and that's what I was doing.
Oh, I think you just need to apologize and not explain.
You're probably right.
I don't think that you should go with.
Can we put this on the? Don't put it on the poll.
Stugotz can't talk during the Bob Costas interview.
Right now, in the Hall of Fame, he's in that Allen Iverson room, Bob.
Dan Levitard gets drunk on the air and can't talk.
I'm trying to give our listeners a drunken inner look. And this isn't just a pirate ship in pirate shit.
Let's get to this story.
Chris Cody dabs during a serious Black Panther conversation.
Samson was talking about the Black Panthers. There was some dangerous subject matter, and you, Opie and Thick, wearing a shirt with your name on it, becoming your dad a little more every day. You not only dabbed once or twice, you dabbed like 7 times. What the bleep were you doing, Chris, other than getting in the way of the show?
That's on me. Now, one thing I've learned about Twitch is that you're supposed to engage with the audience, and that's what I was doing. I'm watching.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
People are telling me to dab, so I thought I'd dab. It didn't dawn on me.
How about you listen to the show? Who else would be on, by the way?
Honest to God.
Dan Levitard can't talk.
We were talking to and about Freddie Gibbs. We were talking about the possibility of Freddie Gibbs actually having the rap album of the year. At which point, Chris Cody, who is too young for this and doesn't know like athletes from the 90s,
Right.
Chris Cody,
You okay?
says, is that is that Barry Gibbs? Is he, and so then the Bee Gees start playing.
Right. Well said.
A little bit of a struggle, a little bit rusty here.
Stugotz doesn't know what valedictorian and salutatorian mean.
The best graduating senior. I mean,
Valedictorian.
Billy, how do you feel? Thank you, Roy. That's a tough one for Stugotz.
well, no, that's up. No, listen, that is up to Jim Nantz. Okay.
Yeah.
Jim Nantz decides who's the most valuable senior. Okay. No one else.
You're going to do sausage
Good
fingers at me with a pivot as if that's what you were trying to do there and not that you
MVS,
couldn't find. Couldn't find. What is this? What is second place? Do you know what second place is for a graduating high school senior if you don't get Well, do you know what first place is? Do you? Even though I think we just mentioned it, and I don't think
first place MVS, yep, most valuable senior.
That's first. What's your first place?
But do you know what it is to finish in second place? What it's called?
Runner up.
First loser.
Silver medal. I mean,
The best graduating senior is the valedictorian.
the VV.
Why VV?
I don't know. Is that how you spell it?
You think it starts with two V's?
Silent V at the beginning.
Oh, is that what? Yeah, of course. Everyone knows that.
What do you mean the VV?
No, you're valedictorian.
What?
Oh, he thinks it's valedictorian.
It's not? Oh, man, I can't believe it.
Because they won first place, Victorian.
I mean, I spent my whole life thinking that. It's crazy.
Why are you saluting him,
Trying
Greg?
to give him
He's
a
trying to
hint.
give him the context clue.
Right.
Figure it out.
I'm doing what I can.
I don't want to figure it out. I'm happy not figuring it out.
Keep giving him pantomime clues. See what he.
That's all I got.
See what he thinks.
Soldier?
Oh, wow.
Lieutenant? He's saluting.
Now it's charades. Now
Charades really works well on podcasts.
charades on audio. Yeah. We're revolutionizing. Here come the call.
Jesus Christ.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have now reached the end of the content streaming age. We have nothing else to
got
do.
the inhaler.
We're going to do audio that is us playing charades. Yes, salute Stugotz. Yes, now keep going. What's it called? Second place when you graduate.
Solutions.
Not math.
Salutation. Close?
Getting there. Starts with a salu.
Salu. Salu. I don't really know. I mean, I really don't. Who pays attention to these things?
Billy screws up saying the word broadcaster, and Ian Eagle buries him.
People were speculating last week that your name was actually Ian Eigel and that you switched it around when you became a broadcaster, but I'm glad that you cleared that up. Now, after the success of Iron Eagle and Iron Eagle 2, did you ever consider naming your son Iron Eagle 2?
We did. Billy, first of all, my dream was to become a broadcaster.
Oh, he got you.
Yes! 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 Yes!
That's the way you do it. Yes!
That's how you do it, Bird!
Tony's loving it.
Wow. Bring him up.
That was my goal. When my parents said, "What do you want to do?" And I was young. I was 7 years old. I said, "Mom, Dad, I have this dream. I don't know if I can attain it, but one day, if I could just be a professional broadcaster." They said, "Well, here's the issue, Ian. It's broadcaster."
Oh, Ian, he's dead and buried.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on.
I said, "What's the difference between broadcasting
Still going.
and broadcasting?"
6 feet under
And at
already.
that point, Billy, I knew that I had to make changes in my life.
Guillermo, put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Does anyone look more like morning television than Mario Lopez? Because I saw him the other day. I guess he was probably filling in on one of those morning shows. And it's not the only place that I saw the fillings because they went close in on the face. And this guy's been a teenager across 40 years. And I finally saw the work done on his face everywhere except the dimples, which will be excavated millions of years from now by archaeologists.
You can't fake those things.
Well, it's not only can you not fake them, you better not put any filler near them. Like that's the money across the dimples are the money across 3 decades, maybe 4 decades.
If you put filler in a dimple, would it fill it and make it like smooth?
Put it on the poll, Guillermo.
Wow.
If you put filler in a dimple, would it fill it and then make it smooth?
Furthermore, if you put filler in Bill O'Brien's butt chin, would he
No, there's nothing. It would just keep going into the chin and it would be a never-ending well of lost filler.
It would absorb the needle.
Yes, all of it. And the doctor with holding the needle and parts of the unit where they're doing the work.
The earth would cave in on itself.
Yeah, it would just keep going in. Cities would end up in there. There'd be flooding and avalanche. Things would just, and it would always just retain.
A Russian nesting doll of black holes.
Billy, why are you comparing? I don't understand the need to compare Dave and Ted Lasso. They're 2 very different shows. I don't understand why you're comparing and contrasting them.
Well, it's not comparing and contrasting, Dan. I think I might have time to watch one of them, and I'm curious as to which one of the 2 I should watch, because it turns out I've been getting charged for Apple TV for some time now, and I had no idea that I had a subscription. Never watched anything on Apple TV. But I guess at some point I subscribed because I got a free something, and now I'm getting charged for it. And I canceled it. But I have about, what day is today? 16th? I have about 14 days before my Apple TV subscription runs out because I already canceled it. So I'm trying to figure out, should I watch this Ted Lasso that everybody's talking about? Or should I watch season 2 of this Dave that everybody's talking about? Because I saw season 1 of Dave, and now season 1 is done. So I can do season 2 all back to back. But this Ted Lasso, are they done? Can I watch all the Ted Lassos back to back?
No.
I think I only have time for one. So what should I do?
Well, not all the Ted Lassos are done. They're releasing 1 a week. And so are we even halfway through the second season? I've decided to hold off until they all get released. I would say probably in 5-episode chunks. So I have held off. But Billy, if you only have until the end of the month, you're not going to watch until the conclusion of season 2. Got to renew that Apple TV Plus.
What is your limit on streaming services? Because one of the rushes to all the gold here is that all of these companies want to get into your habits, want to get into your familiarities, because we are so often creatures of habit. Once we have something, I don't think the grand majority of us are going in and out of having something. And so your new menu for television is happening. Everyone who's going off the grid, and I believe I read the other day that 3/4 of people are still not off the grid. This is the future. It's not yet the now, but because the streaming services see that it's the future, they're all vying to be your next menu television option, and they're all fighting, and they're throwing billions of dollars, all of them, to get into your habits. And Ted Lasso is one of the Ted Lasso, I believe, is Apple's first hit, correct? It's the first.
Yes.
They've got a Tom Hanks movie. They've spent big money on big things. A Justin Timberlake movie. They have spent tons of money in Ted Lasso.
I mean, it's their first hit in content because the iPhone was a pretty.
I meant
Macintosh as well.
I meant Apple TV Plus is what I meant.
AirPods have been fairly successful.
They're a company
Apple
on the rise,
Watch.
no doubt.
The iPad also.
Plus, apples are just delicious.
The morning show on Apple Plus had a lot of people that really liked it. I could not get through it, but it did have a lot of fans. It's very highly rated on
Did they? Because I haven't
IMDb.
heard a single person talking about it. It's kind of like Big Bang Theory. Just a lot of, I hear people like this, but I haven't actually heard people liking it.
The 2 shows that Billy's talking about are so different. I don't even know how to answer this question for Billy, because Ted Lasso, and we love Bill Lawrence, he's become a friend of the show, co-creator on Ted Lasso, is the perfect sweet, syrupy show for this time, at a time that we desperately needed something charming, something that felt good. And it is in line with Sudeikis' spiritual path at life, as he has a very public, messy divorce and talks about it for the first time in spiritual terms. And he's sort of become this Ted Lasso